Here's how to clean an Airbnb and get those 5-star reviews. When you first get to a property, the first step that you want to take is report any issues. So that basically means that you're going to go around in each bedroom, check to see if you see any damages of any sort, maybe holes in the wall, maybe damage to the paint, maybe there was a cushion that was ruined, or maybe there was a dog and you weren't aware of a dog being on the reservation. That means these are all things that you need to report to your host, to your management company as soon as possible. That's why I like using Jobber, because not only am I taking photos in my phone, as soon as I clock into this job, which I'm showing you guys here, I clock into the job and then I'm uploading photos of each room. That takes me to, as soon as you are done reporting of any damages, you want to upload photos before you or the cleaner starts the job. After uploading photos to your software or on your phone if you're not using a software, but I highly suggest, and if you are interested in using any of my software systems, hit the link in the description box below. First things first, as you can see here, dishes. So I know one thing about the process of cleaning is your dishwasher needs to run before you start the cleaning. You don't want to finish everything and then you look, nothing's in the sink, but then you take a look and the dishwasher is full of dirty dishes, because now you have to run a cycle. It's going to take you longer and you have to wait until the cycle is fully finished, or you can decide to wash the dishes. On our end, we like to go ahead and start the dishwasher prior to even starting the cleaning. So one thing about laundry is it is a very long process. It's probably the longest process more than the cleaning itself. So you always want to start laundry as soon as you're done starting your dishwasher, or you can start your laundry and then the dishwasher, but either way, laundry needs to be started as soon as you get to the property. So what we like to do is we strip the beds, we strip the duvets, the pillowcases, and what we like to use to disinfect the beds and pillows is Odoban. Okay, you could find this at the Dollar Tree. It's going to be a couple of dollars, but you can find it at the Dollar Tree, Home Depot, Walmart. We like to get ours at the Dollar Tree or Walmart. And how you want to wash your linens, we like to start the process of what we need first so we can get the beds made, just in case, right? Just in case we might need to take a load home, just in case you may be in crunch time. I like to wash what we need specifically first, especially if it's a same day check-in. If it's not a same day check-in, no rush, right? So we like to do the towels separately and then the rugs and then the duvets and sheets. Great tip that I like to do is start the dryer, so that way the dryer gets hot while you are cleaning, and while things are washing, your cycle will start. Now, this is something that I feel like can be a little bit debatable when it comes to the cleaning process. For us, we try to get as many properties done in a day as possible. Why? Because we have several properties, right? We may have, let's just say, 3 team members working that day and we have 6 units, and I assign 2 units per person. With that being said, I am not going to wait until the dryer is fully done. Enough towels are out and every bed is made and we have everything already set. I'm not going to wait till the dryer is complete. I don't have my team sit around waiting for that last load to finish. Once the beds are made and towels are out, we wrap up. Our goal is to get all jobs done on time so we don't have any issues when it comes to guests checking in and there's no delay. Most of the time, I have no issues with this at all. In fact, I have guests who actually fold the laundry and place it here. But for the most part, when we have shorter stays between 1 to 2 days, guests aren't using the washer and dryer. It's typically the longer stays when guests will use these amenities. Always, before you start your dryer, please check the lint trap. This is a fire hazard. It's very, very important that you check it. You remove the lint before the dryer starts and after. So if I'm leaving a last load, I'm going to make sure this is fully taken away and thrown away in the garbage. Good. Now, when making a bed, this is probably one of the most important things, because 1, you have to make sure you're using clean linens. 2, you have to make sure there's no stains. These guests are paying to stay inside the property, but they're also paying a cleaning fee, which goes to the cleaning crew, correct? So that being said, they want to make sure that not only that the bed that they're sleeping in is clean, but there's no stains, because then when there's stains, they think the bed isn't clean. Whether you wash the linens, or it's very important that you make sure that you're taking a look at the pillowcases, the duvet, everything. It's very, very important. As you can see, we make sure to tuck the beds as well. This is a very important part of the cleaning process, is making sure that the beds are tucked very nice and neat. I think it just gives it an overall 5-star look. Now, the easiest way to put on a duvet, whether you're by yourself or you have a partner, it is possible to get this done the right way. And it is a process. When you're first learning, it seems like a struggle. But what we like to do is place the duvet inside out, take our arms all the way to the corner. She's on the corner of hers. We grab the end of the comforter, place it in our hand, pull it through, and then take it this way and place it down. Then you come to the end and you're kind of like shaking it a little bit to kind of get it nice and even throughout the duvet, and then that's where we zip it up. If you're doing this process alone, you're gonna do the same thing, but you're gonna use both hands instead of one hand for each person. Oh shit. Awkward. Okay, pick up the mattress. Area that the guest sees, and so this is their first impression. Okay, after seeing the listing, this is their first impression. They're gonna walk into it seeing this whole living room. So it's very important that we make sure that the living room is clean, free of any debris, dust, or footprints. Putting the furniture back to where it's at, because again, remember, people are renting these properties, and so sometimes they like to rearrange furniture for whatever reason. Maybe a party, maybe they're staying for a week and don't like how something looks, so they'll move it, and sometimes they won't move it back. So it's really important that you make sure that your throw blankets and throw pillows are being washed if used. Throw pillows on every other clean, every clean. It just depends on your host and what you, how you do things. For us, if it's a one-night stay, we're not gonna really wash the pillows on every turn. However, we will if on every other turn. Another thing is making sure that we disinfect the remote. People are touching the remote, eating, things like that. You want to make sure you disinfect the remote, and gives you an opportunity to go ahead and start opening up windows. I like this because opening up the windows, you're able to see dirt, you're able to see cobwebs, and just to make sure that you're keeping safe when spraying those cleaning supplies, and also making sure that we can see everything. Thing I like to do is turning on the TV. Okay, I do this on every cleaning, and I make sure that my cleaners do this also, making sure that the TV works, because I had a time where I was rushing on a cleaning, didn't turn the TV on.
I think there's been some kind of mistake, because the test
I didn't turn the TV on, and found out after that the guest checked in and seen that the TV broke. Now, it could have been that the guest broke it and said that the last person did it, or it could simply have been that a guest prior had broke the TV and didn't report it as well, because they didn't want to be responsible. When it comes to the cleaning process, before you make the beds or after you make the beds, it is very important that you come into each bedroom making sure that you're checking the drawers, checking if there's any, and wiping everything down, because a lot of times people will put their drinks up here, their phones, and get finger marks everywhere. So it's important that we wipe everything down, wipe down the blinds, open up the windows to get some sunshine, and then, you know, wipe everywhere down here. And also checking underneath the bed. You can get a nice push broom. Okay, I typically like to use these because these are great. They reach all the way down, and this is great for getting any dirt or debris underneath the bed. Now again, we probably should have done this before we made the bed, but you know, the cleaning process sometimes can change. Laundry is, you got to make sure to multitask. So this is something that you're gonna have to take care of in the middle of your cleaning process. In the middle of your cleaning process, you're gonna have to take care of laundry. Again, dusting the ceiling fans are very, very important. When people sleep, they're gonna look up, and if it looks very dusty, and that's not a good thing, right? So we wanna make sure that we're dusting the ceiling fan on each cleaning, because it gets dusty, or even in between cleanings alone, if a place is standing without any current bookings for a few days, the place will get dusty. Checking the closets. This is very important because a lot of times people will put their items up here, they'll hang things, they'll forget a jacket, shoes. I've seen it all. So you always want to make sure that you're also checking the closets. Now, when it comes to the cleaning process of the kitchen, you always want to make sure that there is no food left inside the refrigerator, no bags of ice. If the bag of ice is used, take it out. No one wants to have someone else that they don't know, first off, and think that they want to share that ice with someone else. That's just disgusting. You don't want to have leftover ice inside the fridge from someone else. But if they do have condiments, that just really depends on your host, like hot sauce, ketchup, things like that. For the most part, we don't leave any condiments at most of the properties unless they're like the bigger properties. Things like oil, salt, and pepper, those are probably the only condiments that we leave over. You want to make sure that you're checking each time to make sure that the cabinets are nice and organized and people can see what's in here, because if they message a host and they're like, yeah, well, we can't find the toaster or things like that, you want to make sure that you have everything out and ready for the guests. So here we have like cutting boards and things, and the toaster and pots and pans, so people can see those items. Another, on that note, to the way that the cabinets look, you want to make sure all this is organized. So if I were to reorganize this, I would make sure that my cups look nice and neat, pointed all in one direction. My cups were placed in nice pans, cups, plates, etc. On how long a guest stays, let's just say if they stay a week, towels out. If it's a big property, you're definitely going to make sure you leave two to three paper towels out, because if you have like a guest of 12, they may run through one paper towel in a couple of days. Another important tip is always make sure that the silverware is clean. People will cook and they'll go in here with sauce on their hands, whatever the case may be, and dig in here and leave sauce and crumbs. And so when a next guest comes, they're thinking the silverware isn't cleaned, and that's because you didn't go and check it. So you always want to make sure that you check the silverware. And when you're unloading the dishwasher, please make sure that you're wearing gloves, because no one wants to know that you were just cleaning and then touching the silverware. So make sure that you're wearing gloves when unloading the dishwasher during the whole cleaning process. Unfortunately, we didn't think we were going to film today. It's kind of last minute. I don't have my gloves with me. Again, making sure the drawers are nice and clean for when a guest comes, they can find easy access. You want to make sure that you're leaving out a clean sponge when it comes to the cleaning, okay? On every use, we throw this away unless it wasn't used. Unless a sponge wasn't used, we throw it away on each turn. A new guest gets a new sponge. You're wanting to make sure that you are refilling your soaps. If they're halfway or less, fill them back up. Same thing with your hand soaps.
Also, one of the major things about cleaning the kitchen is checking your teapot. Sometimes a teapot could already have water in it or whatever they wanted to put in here. So you always want to make sure you rinse this out and clean it. Next is checking your coffee. As for example, this could be filled with coffee. And also making sure you're checking this because it can have a filter which is always left behind. Or if it's I think it's called a Keurig, they can have little pods left in there. So always be sure to check that. Another major important is making sure you're checking the microwave. There should be no handprints on inside and outside. It should be all clean in here, which you want to double check. A lot of people forget to clean the inside glass, which is also a major thing, because they can open it up and they kind of just like observe what's in here. And another thing is checking behind coffee makers. There could be little residues of coffee. There also could be, if you have a toaster, there could be crumbs all over behind it.
The kitchen, you also want to make sure to check your cabinets, because for us, we don't leave any leftover food, and I don't think you should be leaving any leftover food either on a cleaning. Now, things such as having coffee, totally fine, sugar, honey, filters for your coffee, oatmeal, that's not something that I would keep unless it's unopened. And flour, I think flour is okay to keep, because sometimes we do get where guests will complain like, oh, there was no leftover oil and things like that. or there was no, sometimes we get guests where like, it would have been nice if you guys had some type of cooking oil. So we do leave cooking oil for the guests, as you can see here, a bunch of different seasonings, but that's really about it. We're not leaving anything else. You always want to make sure that the tub is clean and full and there's no hair left over. Okay, we have to make sure that we are checking the drain and checking the drain in the sink as well. Also, make sure you're leaving enough toilet paper. Yes, guests will steal towels, will steal paper towels, toilet paper. I've seen it. Okay, it definitely happens. You'll get those guests that they'll have one night and you left 3 rolls, and you come back and you're like, how is it that one guest stayed and there's one bed used and all the toilet paper is taken? So you want to make sure you leave enough toilet paper for that guest. Make sure that you check all the drawers just to make sure there's nothing left over, because I've seen blow dryers that weren't ours, tampons, pads, hair ties, all that. Another great tip is making sure you have enough towels for your guests. As you can see here, there is 3 beds in here, so we have to make sure that we have enough towels for each bed. So we leave 2, 4, 6, and then we also have a spa. So we also have to make sure that we leave some towels left over for the outside spa. And then make sure you're dumping your garbage, and if there's any throw rugs, make sure you wash those after every use. Same thing with the shower curtain. We're not going to wash the shower curtain on every turn, but every other turn we will wash the shower curtain, because it is a cloth material. But if it's something where it's a material like this, you definitely want to make sure that you're cleaning that off on every use, because if not, then there's going to be a buildup of residue of whether that's black mold, or sometimes it turns like a pink color. So we're going to make sure that those things are taken care of. On each cleaning, make sure you're dumping the garbage, okay? When a guest comes in, they should not see anything left inside the garbage can at all, like in any garbage. Even if it's the smallest thing, just toss it outside. When a guest comes in here, they want to feel like it's refreshing just for their stay. When it comes to some of your properties, you're gonna have to take care of extra responsibilities, such as the spa, maybe watering plants, taking care of the outside furniture. Let's just take a look over here now. First things first is, because this is a 5-star property and people like to use this place, we have to oftentimes make sure that the spa, which is an amenity for this property, is taken care of. So while I'm here, what I typically do, and even in the winter time, is, and I actually have to be here tomorrow too, but in the winter time is what I'll do is I'll turn the hose on while I'm cleaning and just make sure that this is filled up. So by the end of the cleaning, I don't have to worry about waiting here for the next 30 minutes for this thing to start. And depending on, if you have to take care of extra duties as testing it, maybe putting whatever chemicals inside the spa. So as you guys can see, there's some alcohol beverages. So when it comes to having a property that has lounge chairs and things like that, or one of the amenities is an outside area, whether they come out here and have like a bonfire or whatever the case may be, it's important that you come out here on each cleaning and check, because if a guest were to come and see this, they'd be a little disappointed and feeling like the cleaner didn't do its job. So we also try to make sure that we take our time and just making it look and spruce it up a bit, whether you're taking the hose and washing it off, because one thing about outside furniture is if it's sitting in the sun, it gets discolored. You can remove these alcohol beverages. All right, y'all, that's a wrap on this Airbnb turnover. And one thing I always remind my team is the little things that make the biggest difference. Make sure you're dusting, wiping down those kitchen cabinets, and always mop last so you're not having any shoe prints or marks. Here in Michigan, we are tracking in snow half of the year. And honestly, that's why we love using Jobber, because the checklist there is everything. It's literally our guide for every clean and keeps everyone consistent. Even when you've done this 100 times, that checklist helps you slow down and double check everything before you clock out. Because sometimes when you're thinking about the next unit, you might forget something small, like cleaning out the lint trap, turning off the spa hose, or checking behind doors. But going through the checklist keeps you accountable and makes sure that the property is 100% guest ready. So again, that's how you stay consistent and keep those 5-star reviews rolling in. Don't forget those door handles and light switches.